Seven Sisters Road. On the line is Mohammed Shafiq, the Chief Executive of the Ramadhan Foundation. Mr. Shafiq, thank you very much for speaking to us on BBC News. What have you been learning from people at the mosque?
Just as your reporter was reporting, eyewitnesses that I've spoken to on the ground said that it was a deliberate attack against innocent Muslims leaving the mosque after evening prayers. It's obviously Ramadan, so prayers in the evening usually finish around 12:15 when people were leaving the mosque, the Muslim Welfare Centre. And there was a lot of crowd leaving from the Finsbury Park Mosque, which is around a 5-minute walk. And this van came towards them and deliberately knocked people over. And obviously, if confirmed by the authorities as a deliberate act, then this is an act of terrorism, which needs to be condemned by all people. And we mustn't allow people to divide our communities. And whether that threat comes from within the Muslim community or whether it comes from the far right, innocent people have lost their life, and my heart goes out to them.
Yeah, Mr. Shafiq, I wonder, who are you hearing? Where are you getting your information from? Is it elders at the mosque, or is it people on the ground there?
So I am speaking to a number of people who were there leaving the mosque. I've spoken to the chairman of the local mosque as well in the last hour to offer our support as a national Muslim organisation. But yeah, most of the information is obviously coming from people who are on the ground who witnessed the van coming towards them. So it's very shocking, and people are very, very concerned.
Can I ask you, what is it that is making people think that it was a deliberate attack on them?
Well, I've spoken to two different people who said that as they left the mosque, the van came towards people as they were walking on the pavement. And as one of the, I suppose you were reporting earlier on from the Evening Standard, that one of the attackers left the van and stabbed somebody. Again, a lot of unconfirmed reports, but clearly the people on the ground are saying it was a deliberate attack. But let me be very clear, Duncan. We must wait for the police to declare the circumstances of this particular incident. And if it's confirmed as a deliberate attack, then we shouldn't hesitate to call it out. Because 1 year on from the brutal murder of Joe Cox, we still face a threat from far-right extremism. And there's a perpetual cycle of Islamophobia that's on the increase, and we need to call it out.
Mohammed, I wonder if you would just tell us about the people that go to that mosque, for people that aren't familiar with the area, that particular part of North London. Who would have been coming out of evening prayers there?
So the prayers usually happen around 11 o'clock, 11:15, last about an hour. There'll be people from many different backgrounds, many ethnicities, very vibrant community part of North London, Finsbury Park. Many families with children who would have also been, attending prayers in the evening, as it's Ramadan in the last week. And so, yeah, you would have found a very diverse range of different people just going about their life. And what's sickening is how innocent people have been brutally killed tonight, and our heart and prayers go out to the victims and their families.
Yeah, you say you've been speaking to people from the mosque. I imagine they must be incredibly shocked right now.
Yes, just totally anger, really. You know, we've had to deal with the Manchester terrorist attack and then the London terrorist attack, and we spent the last week, dealing with the Grenville Tower fire, and now this. One thing is very clear, is that our communities are resilient. We won't allow people to divide our communities, and I salute the emergency services who were on the scene very quickly and provided support for the victims. Obviously, from what I can tell, there have been a number of fatalities, and we're thinking of their families. Yeah,
as you said earlier, there have been so many attacks, so many incidents in London and in Manchester. An incredibly difficult time for many communities, and now being felt, I imagine, in quite a tight, close-knit community there in North London as well.
Yes, it's very, very sad, and people are hurting, but we mustn't allow anybody to divide our communities. We stand with the police and the emergency services, and I think as events come clear in the hours to come, I expect all of us will come together as we often do.
You mentioned some anger down there, and we've also had eyewitnesses speaking of a bit of hostility among the crowd. Is that something you're picking up?
No, I'm not. I think there's anxious people about what's happened, and obviously the immediate concern for people had been the people who've been injured and who've been sadly lost their life. And there's a huge police presence there, and that's reassuring people. And, you know, I really urge everybody who's down there, everybody who's trying to get their head around what has happened, to remain calm, to allow the police to complete their inquiries, and as soon as they have more information, clearer information of what's happened, that information will be released. And I would just urge people to remain calm. In the next few days, we expect security to be increased at various mosques around the country to make sure that there isn't any copycat attacks. We mustn't allow anybody to divide our communities.
Mohammed, we really do appreciate you speaking to us during what must be now a very difficult night. That was Mohammed Shafiq from the Ramadhan Foundation speaking to me.